Hello and welcome to the Trade Investment Queensland Export Insight Series for Queensland exporters. My name is Matthew Andrew and I'm the General Manager of Queensland Operations with Trade and Investment Queensland. Today we're going to discuss the assistance available for Queensland exporters. Firstly, we're going to hear from Adam Pearce from Export Finance Australia on how you can get some financing to assist you with export. Over to you, Adam.
Hi everyone, my name is Adam Pearce and today I'm going to be talking about what Export Finance Australia is, how we can assist your business, when to engage with Export Finance Australia, and also the newly formed $500 million to assist businesses through the COVID-19 pandemic. So what is Export Finance Australia? Export Finance Australia is the Australian Government export credit agency. So what we do is we provide financing solutions to businesses that are exporting either directly to assist them with securing export-related contracts or expanding internationally. Quite simply, that is, if you've got an Australian office and looking to expand globally, we can actually assist with that funding. We can assist with funding to win export supply contracts, and I'll touch on that on my next slide. Also, in relation to the delivering of large offshore projects. What we are and what we do, we operate on what we call a commercial basis and market gap scenario. That is very important to understand because when we lend money on the basis that we are going to be repaid. So we're not a grant provider. We act like a bank, but we lend to sections of the bank which they are not quite comfortable with. But talking about the banks, what we actually do is we actually provide complimentary service to them or complimentary finance. So we can actually assist your business working with your bank to achieve whatever you need to do, assuming you meet our criteria. So some of the businesses that we can help, so direct exporting. So that's quite simply, if you're manufacturing something here in Australia or overseas and exporting overseas, that's a direct export. So that can be either a goods or service. We can help export supply chain business. So effectively what that is if your business is involved or integral to the ultimate export occurring, then we can actually assist you. You are an exporter. So a simple way of understanding that is in the met sector or the natural resources sector. Whereas if you're providing fabrication or engineering to a mining contractor, obviously the mining contractor is exporting the goods overseas. You are in the export supply chain, so we are able to help you. We can assist with businesses looking to expand overseas. Like I touched on previously, that's quite simply, you have a business here in Australia looking to expand overseas. And this is coming very common in North America at the moment to actually have a franchise and an LLC, a trading company over in the States to assist with actually completing trade. They're changing the rules of engagement, so it's important to understand where you're playing as well. The small, medium and large corporates, we can help them all, so it's not a problem at all. We play in all sectors and most geographies. The geographies that we don't play in are actually the ones that are heavily sanctioned and we just can't go there. So I'll touch on exactly what the facility is and how we actually qualify in terms of being a commercial lend. So we need to actually ascertain that the bank, your commercial bank, is unable to help. So that could be because of sector, it could be credit appetite, or it could be multiple reasons. We need to understand that your business turns over at least $250,000. And the reason we do that, we want to see that you've got a track record to be able to deliver on your business plan and your export plan, and a minimum of 2 years trading history. So under our normal lending package, we start as low as $20,000 up to $350,000 for our online solution. But however, other solutions that sort of start around $300,000 go up to $75 million. So I'm pretty sure we can cover off most needs today. However, there is a new facility in place which has been brought about because of the COVID-19 pandemic. We have access to $500 million to assist exporters that have been impacted by COVID-19. Now, in order to qualify for this, you need to be able to show serviceability prior to the COVID-19 occurring. So in years 18 and 19, if you were profitable, we could potentially help you on that basis. And you've got a clear strategy on how you are going to recover post-COVID-19. SmartCat Technologies is a business which is based here in Brisbane. What it does, it manufactures and designs real-time driver fatigue monitoring solutions. So effectively, a band that can be placed in a hard hat, a baseball cap, a beanie, is worn by drivers that are actually driving on the road. It measures micro sleeps. So what it does, it sends an alert to either the driver in their cab or the head office that they're actually starting to have micro sleeps. But the real interesting thing about this business is because it was really a tech business, its balance sheet was less than ideal for the bank. We were able to come in and assist this business on a contract basis. They won a contract to supply a large mining company over in Chile, and we were able to provide finance to assist them with the manufacturing of this product to fulfill that product and that contract. What we did, we've now actually helped them more than once, and it's a great story because the bank is actually starting to get excited about helping this business. My whole goal of what I do is to try and get the banks to come back in and play and help businesses when they need it. Helene, Australia. This is a business that's based on the Sunshine Coast. What it does, it specialises in the design, manufacture of specialised bespoke helicopter mission systems. So effectively, this business came to Export Finance Australia because their current bank was unable to help them for various reasons. We were able to help them on this basis to step up and provide a facility to provide these specialised loaders that go into rescue helicopters, like ambulance helicopters over into Canada. Now, this is a great example of where the banker said no, the client did not want to go to another bank, so they come to Export Finance Australia. The reason that banks are comfortable to refer business to us is we're not a threat. We're not there to help them for the long term. We're there to help them when they actually need the help. Active Apparel Group. Now, this is a really interesting business. They manufacture and distribute high-end quality active swimwear. This business was actually impacted more than once from COVID. Firstly, on the basis that from a supply chain in terms of manufacturing over in China, when the COVID outbreak, they were unable to actually get into their factory. So what they did throughout that time, they researched market opportunities and pivoted their business to go forward to actually manufacture reusable face masks within their actual distribution chain to send to the US and the UK. So here is an example of a business that the Australian bank would not get comfortable with because all the lending and all the risk is taken overseas. The product is not coming into Australia, but it is an Australian-based company, and they're actually helping out a friendly in the US in a pandemic at the moment. This business has pivoted through this challenging time to be able to be in a better position to help its shareholders and obviously their US throughout this period. Our support is on a revolving facility here, so it's actually not a term facility, it is a revolving facility. What you've got here, you've got our contact points in terms of the Queensland team. So you've got myself and Yana. So please reach out to us. Should you have any questions, don't hesitate to give me a call. Well, that concludes my presentation. I will now hand you back to the MC.
Thanks, Adam. Great information and resources. Next, we're going to hear from Helene Luetchford from Austrade around federal funding support for exporters. Over to you, Helen.
Thanks for that introduction. My name is Helene Luetchford. I work in the Austrade office in Brisbane and I look after the EMDG or Export Market Development Grants Program in this region. So what is EMDG? EMDG is the federal government's financial assistance program for exporting and aspiring exporting businesses. It covers support for promotion and marketing expenses, up to 50% of those expenses in the financial year. And it's designed to encourage small and medium-sized businesses to develop export markets. The scheme's been running since 1974. It has helped over 100,000 Australian businesses move into export. And for the 2018-19 financial year, we've had over 4,000 applications with over $200 million in grants. The average grant paid is $33,000. So what do you get? Well, as I said, the average grant is $33,000. There's a minimum of $5,000 and a maximum of $150,000. There is a maximum of 8 grants over the life of the business, and they don't have to be in consecutive years. So You can choose to be a bit strategic and apply in the years when you have more expenses in regards to promotion for your export markets. For your first 2 grants, Austrade will calculate your grant entitlement based on up to 50% of your eligible expenses. And then from your 3rd grant onwards, we use an export performance measure to determine the amount of the subsequent grants. Who can apply? So there's a number of different entities that we provide grants to. The key thing is that you have to be an eligible entity under the EMDG Act. You have to have an eligible product, service, IP or know-how. You have to have a turnover of under 50 million in the financial year you're applying. And you have to have spent at least $15,000 on eligible promotional and marketing expenses in overseas markets. I mentioned the export performance measures before. So for the year 3 to 8 claims, you are subject to the performance measures. And for the 2019-20 financial year claims, which are set to open in July, the Minister has announced that due to COVID-19, we have actually relaxed those measures, and that measure does not apply to the claims for the 19-20 financial year. So that means that we'll revert back to the normal formula for the year 1 and 2 claims, which is 50% of the eligible expenses for that period. So just recapping that there is a reimbursement scheme. So we reimburse the expenses paid in the financial year, July to June, and the grant is applied for in the year following that year, and the payment is made following your expenses. So it is a reimbursement scheme. The scheme opens on the 1st of July and closes on the 30th of November for self-lodged claims. And then for EMDG consultant lodged claims, if they're in the Quality Incentive Program, they have an extension until the 28th of February. So if you're planning on applying for a grant for the expenses from 2019-2020 financial year, those applications will open on the 1st of July, and you will have until the 30th of November to put them in. And obviously, using a consultant, you'll have the extension until February next year. So you have to have eligible expenses. There's a list here of the categories that we cover. Most of them are pretty common expenses when you're trying to break into the international market. So things like trade shows, the travel to go to the trade shows, all of your promotional materials regarding the trade show. We include marketing consultants, which can be based in Australia or overseas. We have the overseas representatives, which can be an office or a consultant who's based overseas and does some research or some marketing work for you, and that has to be on a long-term basis. We also have reimbursement for literature and advertising, which includes online, Google, Facebook, all of those kind of social media type advertising. And also we have overseas buyers when you bring an overseas buyer over to Australia to, for example, view your manufacturing facilities. We do also cover the registration of eligible IP, so that looks at trademarks and patents and the insurance of those trademarks and patents. The key thing to keep in mind with the eligible expense categories is that the expenses do have to be promotional in nature, so they're not product development and they're not post-contractual client service expenses. We are looking at trying to get new customers to buy your product in the overseas market. The expenses all have to be taken up by the Australian applicant business, so you have to ensure that any of the expenses that you claim are reflected in your profit and loss and are actual expenses for your business and not a related business and not an overseas related business. There also are no commissions, no GST and no prepayments allowed in this scheme. With the impact of COVID-19, the government has realised that a lot of expenses that have been incurred by businesses will have either been not refunded or credited. And so there's been a determination that any expenses that you have incurred, such as travel, or trade shows. If those travel and trade shows have been cancelled due to the impact of COVID, we will be treating them as though they've taken place. So as long as you haven't received a refund for that and you're still out of pocket for those expenses, we are going to be assessing them as though they have taken place. And that is for the 2019-2020 financial year, and also for next year for the 2020-21 financial years. So just keep that in mind. And if you're a bit unsure, give us a call, because we can run you through what the best way to apply is. And also in regards to any credits or, delays in that travel and trade shows. So how to apply? We have an online application. If you've never applied before, I do recommend that you go to our website and look at our coaching videos. We have a number of those, and you can see a little kind of snapshot on the PowerPoint slide there. They're very easy to understand, and they run you through the background and the basics of the scheme. We have a hotline which is manned by our auditors, so always give us a call if you're unsure. We run that every single day, and there's people who understand the scheme and assess the claims every day. There is an eligibility checklist. If you're not sure whether you would be eligible or not, you can run through that, and then if you have any questions, give us a call as well. And then once you're ready, it's an online application, so you just go to our website, click through the links, and you input all of your information into the form, and then it gets lodged into our system and is assessed throughout the year. So here are our sources of assistance. You can obviously email us. There's a direct email there, emdghelp@austrade.gov.au. Visit our website or give us a call on 132878 and ask to speak to an EMDG advisor. And that's it from me. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Helen. That was fantastic. Lastly, we're going to hear from Denise Kreymborg from Trade and Invest Queensland, who's going to talk through the support that the Queensland Government offers to exporters. Thank you, Denise.
Thanks for the introduction, Matthew. As Matthew alluded to, my name is Denise Kreymborg and I am the Director for Regional Queensland. I look after all of the regions from Cairns all the way down to Ipswich and Toowoomba. Welcome to this session on TIQ support for your export journey. TIQ is the Queensland Government's dedicated global business agency helping Queensland exporters to take their products to international markets and promoting Queensland as the perfect place for investment. You'll find TIQ's global representatives in 12 markets around the world, specialised sector teams in Brisbane, and our regional trade and investment advisors across Queensland. Today's presentation is to give you an overview of the types of support TIQ provides to business on their export journey. TIQ's team of representatives help Queensland businesses through their export journey to take advantage of export opportunities in markets around the world. What does the export journey look like for your business clients? Clients receive a suite of services tailored to meet their specific needs. TIQ assesses the client's export readiness to provide the best service to meet your needs. If clients are not export ready, TIQ will still provide information and reference links. They will introduce the client to relevant organisations that can assist, link them to training, workshops and opportunities to build their capacity to be export ready, and they'll then check in on them again to see how they're going and if they need further assistance. If clients are export ready, we have dedicated client managers who are representatives for that business through their export journey with TIQ. The client manager will qualify the client's readiness to export. They'll establish a client team from different units across TIQ and other agencies if needed. They'll work with the clients to determine a suitable market entry or expansion strategy. They'll make introductions to international buyers and include the client on missions into those markets. They facilitate connections across government and invite the client to relevant export functions, forums and events. They also provide an aftercare service to check in with the client on their export journey and to see if they can provide further assistance. Our team of client managers across Queensland also includes a network of trade-start advisors that provide enhanced assistance and services to clients on their export journey. As part of TIQ's partnership with Austrade, clients are able to gain additional support with access to Austrade global offices and information and services. An example of support during COVID is with current overseas travel restrictions, Queensland exporters are facing the challenge of being unable to visit export markets, hindering access to trade opportunities and limiting their ability to engage with potential new customers and supply chain partners. A good example of what a client manager can do for business during this time is what we like to call a virtual tasting. It's an assessment of client export readiness and the tailored services that they need to support them. The buyer and client have the opportunity to connect virtually. The client provides samples of products that are sent into market, and a Skype or Zoom meeting is set up between TIQ's regional office, where the business is located, the client, the Trade Commissioner's office, and the buyers. Introductions are made via the virtual meeting, and if the product is a processed product, or for example, wine, a virtual tasting of the product occurs with discussion on the product directly. After the meeting, there are follow-up activities around the export opportunities. This is a really great way for businesses to connect during COVID with buyers in market with TIQ's support. TIQ also has initiatives that support Queensland business to achieve export outcomes. One of these is the Go Global Export Program that provides Queensland's export-ready small to medium-sized businesses with financial support to enter a new market. When working with new international market, there can be barriers to finalising export sales. While significant support is available along the export journey in terms of market awareness, planning and preparation, there is funding gaps for finalising an export arrangement. The Go Global Export Program provides matching funding for SMEs to achieve their export ambitions and to support TIQ's purpose of driving global business opportunities that create jobs and prosperity across Queensland. There are two levels of project funding available: a micro grant, which is up to $5,000, and a macro grant that's up to $25,000. Funding conditions are available online at tiq.qld.gov.au. The Go Global Export Program aims to set up businesses across Queensland for ongoing export success. It assists export-ready companies in overcoming the challenges arising from executing an existing export transaction in a foreign market, and create a pathway for success for new export sales, and will create additional employment across Queensland. For further details on the program and the next round opening date, go to our Go Global Export Program webpage of the TIQ website at tiq.qld.gov.au. Another initiative is the Export Market Engagement Program, which gives Queensland exporters an opportunity to travel, when possible, to their targeted export markets to do market research and make new business connections. The program provides access to market knowledge, international networks, and government resources to tailor your product or service and potentially increase your export sales. The Export Market Engagement Program includes $7,000 contribution funding to undertake export development activity in market. It is cost-effective, targeted, and tailored market engagement and provides valuable insights into growing markets. It also provides increased international market exposure for your business and direct access to Queensland Government's extensive range of services and networks. The TIQ Overseas Office will also provide support and guidance and will arrange an in-market program for the visit. For further details and to register your interest, to go to the TIQ website, tiq.qld.gov.au. This Export Insights series is also a great resource for business looking to enter a market or expand their market. There are 13 pre-recorded webinars to support business to diversify into new markets, with the key focus on international market-specific COVID-19 intelligence, providing market-specific information on the policy changes relevant to exporters, opportunities in market from the COVID crisis, and advice on addressing current challenges and navigating the new environment. There are also tailored export development presentations on developing an export strategy, risk management, supply chains, and of course this one, TIQ support for your export journey. The Queensland Government also has a dedicated site with grants, assistance and initiatives to support business across Queensland. There are many grants and funding programs to support business listed on this easy-to-navigate site. For further support, there is also a COVID-19 affected business Queensland Grants website, and it has an easy access assistance finder for you to look through. These are the key sites to access: business.qld.gov.au and business.qld.gov.au/COVID-assistance. If you need further information on this presentation, please do not hesitate to contact TRQ on our website. Thank you for taking the time to hear about the support that TRQ can provide on your export journey. We look forward to working with you soon. I will now hand you back to Matthew, who will close off this session.
Thanks, Denise, and thank you everyone for watching. That brings us to the end of our presentation today. I hope you found it useful. If you've got any further questions or queries, please don't hesitate to contact Trade and Invest Queensland using the details that are appearing on your screen now. Thank you very much for your time. Have a great day.